Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Alex and today we're embarking on an in-depth journey into the life of Isaac, son of Ibrahim and father of Jacob. Isaac is one of the great patriarchs in the Abrahamic traditions, and his life is filled with profound lessons of faith, trust, and divine promise. In this video, we will explore 10 fascinating aspects of Isaac's life, explain how his story is narrated in Islam, Christianity, and Judaism, and share key verses from the Torah, the Bible, and the Quran that illuminate these perspectives. Before we begin, please remember to like, subscribe, and share this video. Your support is what makes our channel grow. Also, share your thoughts in the comment section below. We love hearing from you. Now, let's dive into our guide on the life of Isaac. Outline of the video. Introduction. Who was Isaac? The miraculous birth of Isaac. Isaac and the covenant of promise. The divine test. The sacrifice narrative. Isaac as a man of peace and patience. The blessings of Isaac, his role as father of Jacob. Isaac in the Torah. Key passages and themes. Isaac in the Bible. Narrative and legacy. Isaac in the Quran. His place in Islamic tradition. Similarities and dissimilarities across the three religions. 1. Introduction. Who was Isaac? Isaac, known as Ishaq in Arabic, is revered as the son of Ibrahim and the father of Jacob, who is later named Israel. His story is a cornerstone of the Abrahamic faiths. Isaac's life embodies the fulfillment of divine promise, the passing of a sacred covenant, and the assurance that God's plan transcends human limitations. Today, we will walk through 10 key aspects of his life, illustrating how his journey reflects a tapestry of faith that weaves together traditions from Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. 2. The miraculous birth of Isaac. Isaac's birth is one of the most miraculous events recorded in the sacred texts. Ibrahim and Sarah, despite their advanced age and previous barrenness, received a divine promise that they would bear a child. In Genesis 21, 1-2, the Bible states, "Now the Lord was gracious to Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did for Sarah what he had promised. Sarah conceived and bore a son to Abraham in his old age." This passage highlights the extraordinary nature of Isaac's birth, which symbolizes hope and the unfailing power of God's promise. Although the Quran does not elaborate in detail on Isaac's birth, it does acknowledge his blessed status among the righteous sons of Ibrahim. The miraculous nature of his arrival is universally seen as a sign of divine intervention, a moment that reaffirms God's commitment to his covenant with Ibrahim. 3. Isaac and the covenant of promise. Isaac's life is inseparable from the divine covenant made with Ibrahim. This covenant promised that through Ibrahim's descendants, a great nation would arise, and all nations of the earth would be blessed. In Genesis 17:19, God tells Ibrahim, "Your wife Sarah shall bear you a son, and you shall call his name Isaac, and I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant for his descendants after him." This promise is central to the narrative. In the Bible, the continuation of the covenant through Isaac is celebrated as a testament to God's faithfulness. Similarly, in the Quran, while the narrative is more succinct, the importance of Isaac as a bearer of divine blessing is acknowledged. His very existence reinforces the idea that God's promises are not limited by human constraints. 4. The divine test, the sacrifice narrative. One of the most dramatic episodes in the story of Isaac is the divine test of sacrifice. In the Torah and the Bible, Genesis 22 recounts how God commanded Ibrahim to sacrifice his beloved son. The verse states, "Take your son, your only son, whom you love, Isaac, and go to the land of Moriah and offer him there as a burnt offering." Genesis 22:2. Just as Ibrahim is prepared to obey, an angel intervenes, and a ram is provided as a substitute for Isaac. In Islamic tradition, the story of the sacrifice is also significant, though there is a divergence in interpretation. Many Islamic scholars believe that the son involved was not Isaac, but Ismail. However, the underlying message remains the same: absolute obedience and trust in God. The Quran in Surah As-Safat 37, 102-107, narrates the event with emphasis on Ibrahim's submission and God's mercy, even though the name of the son is not explicitly mentioned. This divine test serves as a powerful reminder of the depth of faith required to trust in God's plan, even when it calls for the unthinkable. 5. Isaac as a man of peace and patience. Unlike some of the more turbulent narratives found in his father's or his son's lives, Isaac is often remembered for his calm and patient nature. He spent much of his life in Canaan, quietly upholding the faith that was passed down to him. His character is one of gentle resilience and unwavering trust in God. Isaac's demeanor teaches us that faith is not always expressed through dramatic events. Sometimes it is the steady, quiet adherence to God's will that defines a life of devotion. Isaac's peaceful approach to life, even when confronted with challenges, whether personal or communal, is an enduring example for believers. His life demonstrates that true strength lies in humility and the consistency of one's commitment to divine principles. 6. The blessings of Isaac, his role as father of Jacob. One of Isaac's most significant roles was as the father of Jacob, who later became Israel. Isaac's blessing passed on the divine promise to the next generation, ensuring that the sacred covenant continued. In Genesis 25:26, the Bible records the birth of Jacob. Afterward, his wife bore him a son, and she called his name Jacob. Isaac was 86 years old when she bore him. Jacob would eventually become the patriarch of the 12 tribes of Israel, making Isaac's legacy critical to the unfolding of history. This transmission of blessing and faith underscores the importance of family and continuity in the Abrahamic traditions. Through Isaac, the promise that began with Ibrahim finds its realization in the nation of Israel. 7. Isaac in the Torah. Key passages and themes. The Torah provides us with a rich and detailed narrative of Isaac's life. Key passages in Genesis, especially chapters 21 and 26, highlight his miraculous birth, his role in the divine covenant, and his experiences in Canaan. For example, Genesis 26:24 reads, "I am the God of your father Abraham. Do not be afraid, for I am with you. I will bless you and will multiply your descendants for my servant Abraham's sake." This verse not only reinforces the promise made to Ibrahim, but also assures Isaac of God's ongoing presence and protection. The Torah emphasizes Isaac's gentle nature, his reliance on God, and the continuity of the covenant, presenting him as a stabilizing figure who upheld the sacred traditions of his forefathers. 8. Isaac in the Bible, narrative and legacy. The Bible, which shares many narratives with the Torah, presents Isaac as the child of promise whose life was intertwined with miraculous events and divine interventions. The biblical account in Genesis not only recounts his birth and the fulfillment of God's promise, but also highlights the dramatic episode of the binding of Isaac. Through these stories, Isaac is shown as a man of quiet faith and deep spiritual insight. Isaac's narrative in the Bible is imbued with themes of hope, divine fidelity, and the transformation of hardship into blessing. His life, though less tumultuous than those of his father or his son, remains a cornerstone of the biblical tradition, marking the transmission of God's covenant from one generation to the next. 9. Isaac in the Quran, his place in Islamic tradition. In the Quran, Isaac, referred to as Ishaq, is recognized as one of the blessed sons of Ibrahim. Although the Quran does not dwell on the details of his life to the extent found in the Torah and Bible, it still highlights his significance as a righteous man and a carrier of divine promise. For instance, the Quran alludes to the blessings bestowed upon Ibrahim's offspring and integrates Isaac into the broader narrative of prophetic lineage. In Surah Al-Imran 3:38-39, while the text is more general about the progeny of Ibrahim, it reaffirms that the children of Ibrahim, including Isaac, were chosen for their righteousness. Islamic tradition, therefore, places Isaac within a continuum of faith, emphasizing that the divine promise extends through all of Ibrahim's descendants. Isaac's role is not merely historical, it is a living reminder of the enduring nature of God's covenant. 10. Similarities and dissimilarities across the three religions. Now let's consider the ways in which Isaac's story is told across these sacred texts. Although each tradition has its unique perspective, there are many common threads that unite them. In the Torah and the Bible, Isaac is portrayed in rich detail, from his miraculous birth to the dramatic episode of the binding, his life in Canaan, and his role as the father of Jacob. These narratives emphasize the fulfillment of God's promise, the continuity of the covenant, and the importance of family heritage. The detailed storytelling in these texts not only provides historical context but also offers deep spiritual insights into the nature of faith and obedience. In contrast, the Quran's account of Isaac is more succinct. While it does not provide extensive narrative details, The Quran acknowledges Isaac as one of the righteous sons of Ibrahim and reinforces the concept of divine promise and prophetic legacy. The Quran's treatment of Isaac is less focused on biographical details and more on the broader themes of divine mercy, obedience, and the continuation of faith. Despite these differences, all three traditions agree on several key points. Isaac's birth was a miraculous fulfillment of God's promise. He is a crucial link in the covenant that began with Ibrahim. His life, whether detailed or summarized, serves as a testament to faith, obedience, and the continuation of divine blessing. This convergence of narratives reinforces the timeless nature of Isaac's legacy, reminding us that although our perspectives may differ, the underlying message of hope and divine fidelity remains the same. As we reflect on Isaac's life, we recognize that his story is more than a collection of historical events. It is a living narrative that speaks to the heart of what it means to trust in God. His quiet strength, his unwavering faith, and his role in passing on a sacred legacy are lessons that continue to resonate with believers today. Isaac's journey teaches us that faith is not measured solely by dramatic miracles, but also by the steady, everyday acts of obedience and trust. His life is a reminder that even in moments of uncertainty or hardship, God's promise endures, and his guidance is always present. This is a message that transcends time and tradition, offering comfort and inspiration to all who seek to live a life of faith. Before we conclude, I'd like to take a moment to invite you to share your reflections. What part of Isaac's story speaks to you the most? How do you interpret the themes of divine promise and continuity in your own life? Please share your thoughts in the comment section below. I read every comment and love hearing your perspectives. If you enjoyed this exploration of Isaac's life, please remember to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Your support not only helps our channel grow, but it also spreads these timeless lessons of faith, hope, and divine promise to a wider audience. Thank you so much for joining me on this 30-minute journey through the life of Isaac, son of Ibrahim and father of Jacob. I hope his story has inspired you, deepened your understanding of the sacred covenant, and encouraged you to trust in God's enduring promises. I look forward to seeing you in our next video. Until then, take care, stay blessed, and keep the faith alive in your heart.